Miracles don't exist. Not the kind you want, anyway. Holding your daughter's hand as she hangs broken-legged and upside down in an animatronic museum exhibit. The emotion of it, the glitter and salt and smell of wet silicone. This experience has transferred from someone else to me. You could call that a miracle if you wanted to. Hearing a story from that girl while trapped inside the dream of her insane father, who I found curled in the stomach of a giant tapir amidst an extra-dimensional, reptile-fueled war zone. You could call that a miracle too. His daughter's story, it was beautiful. I'm sorry, Alexandra. I can't stop looking at the stars. I can't stop feeling what your father felt. How he shifted his memory of you from his brain to his heart. How he crawled deep into the chambers there to hold you while you slept. Felt the way each contraction and pump failed to wake you up as you bled slow and soundless through his fingers until you disappeared, just like the dinosaurs, plate armor, the thylacine, and all the most beautiful things men are too afraid to hold dear. The Great Chameleon War. If you've liked the show up to this point, you're probably the weirdest person all of your friends and family know. Congratulations. You're among friends here. I'd love it if you could showcase some of that weirdness by going and spreading the word of the Great Chameleon War anywhere you want. Carve one on a human skull and leave it underneath a bunch of oranges in the produce section of your nearest grocery store. Or develop an ultra-strong laser to carve it on the moon. So far, this season has showcased the voice talent of two wonderful children, Miss Violet and Miss Charlotte, and also my wonderful mother who let me chomp her in half in the first episode. This episode will feature the voice of Erin Roselle as Eleanor. This is episode 8. Without a nightlight, you'll have bad dreams. Side A. I pet the pale and swiveling eye of Eleanor's chameleon. Whoa. Good girl. It's a juvenile, like 15 feet tall. My sister sits cross-legged on the lizard's back, still naked, still considering me what to say. Behind her, an embryonic reptile twitches in midair, staying on lookout, still bleeding heavy and red from a wound in its soft, grubby underside. Yeah, I've smelled this before. This is the red trail I've been crossing the last few weeks. The whispering, rash-inducing red carpet of cilia and muck. Eleanor has been on the move, And it's become clear to me she's the one responsible for uniting the clans during the charge the Whaler and I witnessed. Taming a chameleon is absolutely unheard of. Eleanor must be the Black Flag, the only one of her clan. She'd never have any subordinates. I light a cigarette and blow 2 lungfuls of smoke into her chameleon's eye.
You don't know yourself well enough to be here.
I didn't come here to know myself better. I came to find gold, sunken treasure, cursed pirate coins, and incantations lost to the minds of men. And maybe I came to see you unknow yourself, totally unravel like you always have been. And I'm not disappointed. Look at yourself. I rattled a soda bottle of tadpoles and bones, and she finally looks at me. It's almost like she's reversed in age from early 30s to early 20s. She's found secrets here, no questioning that.
Do you remember how Lamy hid in the bathtub during thunderstorms? How she peed herself and wouldn't stop trembling for the rest of the day? Wouldn't stand up, wouldn't want to go on living after her simple Labrador mind saw lightning and heard thunder? That's you, crawling around those trenches, a worm hiding from the sun.
Yeah, it's an easy jab at me. I know this. But still, it takes a tremendous conscious undertaking to not reach for my sword. I walk around the front of her chameleon to get a better look. I've never seen one up this close. Well, one that wasn't trying to eat me anyway. They are not from this quadrant of reality. It's obvious. I can feel its phantom tongue lick me from ankle to crotch to face, probing me, testing the genetic connection between me and Eleanor. What kind of temples may be inside for it to desecrate? It feels a bit like the Uruk-hai from the Two Towers, the one blessed with the white chalked scrawl of Saruman, phosphorus torch in hand, elven arrows porcupined from its flesh, diving into the battlement at Helm's Deep to send boulders and brick and the hopeful into the black trench of sky. I met the Whaler.
I almost killed him.
Oh, real cool. You also rounded up the cults and led a pointless charge across the central meadow.
Strange, isn't it? How violence gives birth to the sweetest of children. How do you think I got this beauty under my spell?
I try and imagine the process of taming the reptile. This chameleon, lashed to trees and corroded school buses, forced to watch the battle with one eye, while the other stays firmly planted on Eleanor. Her face, the look it holds, imprinting deep in its mind, chaining an elephant's foot in the center of a circus ring, while the tent burns to the ground. I gave a name to the bat in the ermine cape, too. Eleanor opens and closes the visor of her helm, like it wants to bite me.
Now that's more like it. Immature. Unnecessary. How very much my brother.
I put out my cigarette on her chameleon's lip. It's surprising I'm not ballistically projected on the end of its tongue into the smoldering astronaut. There's just no reason for me to get into a penis measuring contest with Eleanor. I shouldn't tell her anything, but I'm about to anyway. Well, just so you know, I'm headed for the minivan.
Hello? No one awake has ever seen the eternally burning minivan. You have no idea where it is.
I like this. She's upset. I pull the pterodactyl toy from my helmet and play with it, making it soar in the air, whoosh around, and peck at her chameleon. Indeed. Immature. Unnecessary. Me until the very end. You're too comfortable here. While you're off gallivanting over the trenches and meadows, yeah, I'm crawling around in the dirt. Where the fuck else do you think treasure is found? The astronaut slinks further into the pond, gargling electric storm froth. The sky seems to flatten to a disc and spin. This mental construct won't last much longer. Eleanor stands up, flares her cape out, and puts her helmet back on. She points to my recorder. It's busted and slime-bitten, but most importantly, a gift not given to her.
No one is ever going to hear your story. The ones you're trying to tell? They're all going to be eaten. I'm going to watch it happen, and I'm not going to do a thing. I won't even be listening. No one will.
Okay. Okay. The levitating embryo shivers as it floats over to Eleanor. She nuzzles it with her visor as a mother calms its calf. Then she thrusts her lance into the fleshy sphere, prying open its wound as blood gushes over the albino lizard. A triceratops of reptile, a fine specimen of Camellia jacksoni. Eleanor pulls the embryo over her head, its nerves probing through her nerves so she can see through panoramic eyes, sense through gestational electrochemistry, and navigate planes of dreamscape at her own discretion, stepping careful or not so careful on your pillow as she makes her way back into the nesting zone. Her chameleon flesh is translucent, leaving Eleanor soaked in a deluge of reptile blood that runs fast and sharp, like a curtain pulled through a movie reel projector. And then she's gone. Whew. It's time to go for a swim. I make my way out to the astronaut and stand on top of its helmet. And I wait, poking holes in the spacesuit with my sword. Then the collapse arrives. I look up and see heaven invert upon itself, revealing an endless tower of fractal stars and neural activity. Into the maelstrom I go. Each tier of abstract reflection and form smashes downward one plate disc at a time. A unique civilization of nirvana, birthed and annihilated with each step of plunge. A palace of dreams, shattered and sinking. And I am the thing of deep sea who will call it home. There were 1,000 years of darkness. There were 1,000 years of darkness. 1,000 years of sand. There were 1,000 years of sand. 1,000 years. There were 1,000 years of a toy boat adrift at sea, carrying a single burning love note. With a final lurch, I slip through a silver-lipped membrane that licks me clean of residual memory and brain stuffs. I'm back in a trench, standing. Smells like it might rain soon. I've done a lot of bad things. Yeah, in the nesting zone. I almost starved to death my first 2 weeks after entering. So I snuck up on a group of 3 guys getting drunk around an ammo crate, telling stories about their pets. How they were either smart or stupid, always barked at their Roombas, climbed up wall tapestries as kittens, or managed to find their way home after being lost for days, just crawling up on the couch, wet and meek, to cuddle on a warm lap. Like nothing bad had even happened at all. I lobbed a grenade in the middle of them. They didn't see it, because their heads were raised, polishing off drinks with eyes full of hope and missing. And then they were just piñatas, fragments, spines, and stained cloth. I got a few Pop-Tarts out of the mess. Whoever you are, I'm not asking you to like me. I don't really like myself all that much, truth be told. My compassion and empathy sit on the needle of a broken compass. It swings to a shifting pole of morality. I'll kill anyone, walk over bodies asking for comfort and water, and make sure to stomp on their fingers. But I'll also stop and hold their hands, sometimes. Help them drink. Take notes for their loved ones and promise I'll deliver them. I'll hold on to the letters for weeks, then decide on a whim to cast the envelopes into a river and pee downstream without a care. don't know why I'm like this, but I have ideas. The plastic bottle of filth at my waist is one of these ideas. It's the idea of my 5-year-old self going on an adventure down a creek with my older sister, Eleanor, to collect insects, frogs, a baby turtle, and tadpoles. Eleanor promised we were going to make them a new Garden of Eden, full of moss clumps, fresh worms, damp sticks for refuge. I remember staring at the little world I helped make. The first time I ever felt responsibility. She covered it with wet paper towels. No. If you look inside, you'll ruin it. God won't appear and teach them all. No fruit will grow for them to learn. But of course, I snuck into her room and looked. And of course came the divine punishment. The forcing me to hold each individual explosive as she lit them, making me drop the firecrackers into the garden to expel the tainted and impure from paradise. A ritual as old as religion itself. I've re-emerged into a different area of the nesting zone. Teleported from subalpine meadow to temperate rainforest. Not farther back than I was, but east. The foliage is thick here. Old growth trees. Douglas firs erupt in spattered moss, and western red cedars stand frozen in a mass upheaval as spears from the underworld. It's a Cascadia conifer forest of 1,000-year-old sculpted wood. The trenches are sparse, but more verdant, damp, and rife with ferns. Everything feels slick and alive, guarded by watchtowers of noble firs and a surging crystal creek. There aren't as many trenches, but I feel safer on flat ground in the darkness. I've heard of this place, the Grove of the Patriarchs. My anxiety has started to come back. I don't really know what I'm doing here anymore. I found Eleanor, and she's as much a monster as she ever was. I thought seeing her would give me a clearer sense of purpose, but it hasn't. Unless it has. And I just don't want to admit it. That this story isn't really about me at all. It's about everyone else in here. I'm just a tape recorder. A depository of others' thoughts and experiences. The sleepless librarian, archiving forgotten biographies. An archaeologist in a tomb, rubbing charcoal over paper and hieroglyph. I'm the amanuensis of a ship, long lost at sea, and nothing more. It makes me feel... it makes me feel Some of the trees are scorched here, and others are covered in algae. A stray crab scuttles. Embers glow in the core of hollowed-out megalithic trunks. Hot tiger dens bored into bark by saber-tooth and claw. I wonder if the arsonist made it out alive. One arm down, but with a likely extermination under her belt. I mean, if asked, I'd certainly confirm it. She fucked up that chameleon real good. And the whaler? Maybe he's found some ocean in which to hunt, tucked away in a corner of some reptile's brain, seeking to impale the grand ancestor of all breathing things at the dawn of organic life. I'm taking a break on a felled tree. The sun's gone down, but the night is clear, with more than half a moon to show for it. Some of the fungi and biomatter glows a faint blue, too. In the distance, I can see a halo of illumination from stadium lighting. There will be people there. Food, stories. I unstrap the plastic bottle from my side and inspect it more closely. The one the whaler gave me after sliding it out of an orca whale's mouth. It's been almost 30 years since the annihilation of Rapture emerged in the micro-kingdom my sister and I created. But somehow, the extinction event is still fresh inside. Organs have not dried. Limbs twitch without brains attached. Singed moss, smoking leaves. The sudden wiggle spasm from half a worm in the throes of what's either submersion in near-death ecstasy or a rushing descent toward the writhing genetic hell core of all annelid fear. The bottle garden returned to me, not Eleanor, and I can't ignore that any longer. If I'm indeed a worm hiding from the sun, I should be among friends. The ruins of this kingdom deserve a ruler. The toy pterodactyl has witnessed the same horrors as me over the last few weeks. And in fact, it was there on the day of the infamous carpet bombing of my soda bottle zoo heaven. Assuming that this is indeed the same pterodactyl from my youth, which, judging by the A carved into the bottom of its foot, I most certainly think it is. So, I believe it's time for a promotion. The winged reptile fits nicely inside the bottle, perched snug on a mound of mud. It's time to reforge Eden. Bright orange mushrooms, bulbs of cushion moss, a hardy beetle, and a healthy smattering of blue bioluminescence struck on vertical monoliths of tree bark. The new world has summoned its plastic god emperor and will be taught things I can never know. The origin of consciousness, the fate of cosmic expansion, why it is that when you look at a cloud, a piece of you is stolen, turned to cumulus and mist, made to rain down in ways that can either give rise to a garden or rise to floods that rush toward a lone horse on a hilltop, foaming its mouth yellow on dandelions.